Very good. Okay, welcome everybody. So I think everybody is not on stage now. So we have our guest speaker, Mr. Shekhar Kamat. He's there with us, and we have Miss Nina Bhattacharjee. She is our moderator of this session today, and I would like to, because since Miss Nina is going to introduce all speakers. So actually, somebody has to introduce her also with all of you audience. So let me just read it out because she has a very long bio. But let me just read very few lines. So Nina Bhattacharjee done various hats simultaneously of a psychologist, a management profession, global talent management leader, leadership coach, and TEDx speaker. Very recently, she was invited a couple of TEDx stages. A passionate advocate of women's leadership, she has led various interventions on gender diversity and bias. Nina has about 25 years of working experience with global conglomerates and MNCs like Samsung Electronics, Godfrey, Philips, CityCorp, TVWA, and IMT, Ghaziabad, etc. So she's going to, because being a psychologist, being a human resource person, she can understand better designer's mind, and user's mind, and she'll be in the better position, I'm sure, to handle, to communicate between audience and designer. Okay, over to Nina. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Professor Chaudhary, and a very warm welcome to everyone for the second day of the first ever ODC, Odisha Design Council event. And I happen to know Professor Chaudhary. We are actually colleagues, but it so happened that we never worked in the same in the organization at the same time. So we got to know each other through through a WhatsApp group. And and he that's the time when my son was returning from New York, and he was also returning from New York during the COVID lockdown. Just had happened, a day after the COVID lockdown happened. And that's when I got quite involved, because he got stuck for a month in Delhi, and I was trying to help him, somehow trying to see if I can get some political connections and working whatever that a middle class person can do. And so since then we've been together, and I've been a part of the fact that when he actually conceived ODC, to to the entire journey he took to make it happen. And since we were in touch, and he said, Nina, why don't you be a part of it? And I was a bit apprehensive, saying that, well, design is something I don't understand. But then I realized that design is a part of our life, and it's actually, as Kamat sir was saying, that it's a social construct. So I agreed, and I'm delighted to welcome Mr. Kamat, Mr. Shekhar Kamat. He is a legend in himself. He's the one who designed the State Bank of India logo, and he taught at National Institute of Design for 40 years. So I invite him and welcome him, and I thank him immensely for taking time out to have this interactive session. And he's going to share with us the story of the State Bank of India design, and what are advice that he can give young aspiring designers in India. For the participants, if you have any question, you can just type it out, and towards the end we can take those questions. So over to you, Mr. Kamat, sir.
So welcome, my fellow designers. It's wonderful to see young faces, I mean young people of India, which uh, it's a privilege. Design profession, it's something is sort of given to you somehow, and you are attracted, but it has got life, or it has got connection in every aspect of your life. Don't you think so? It's every aspect, whatever, wherever you sit, whatever you see, whatever you do is designed by someone, or even the nature. If you look at nature carefully, it's a uh, it's a design, biodiversity, and it amazes me every day how even the clouds changes and how they come together. And sometimes you're looking at the clouds and the sea waves are connected, and they sort of harmonize with each other. So design is at its best when everything fits quite nicely and balanced. Uh, Balance is important because that's what all of us as a human being looking for, balance in our life. So balance in the paper, balance in the advertisement, balance in the packaging, balance in the personality. You don't like someone going up and down in your life. It has to be someone has to be have a certain amount of balance, so he carries uh, things quietly. So, and design is also it's beauty, isn't it? You like to see something wonderful, and if it's completely well designed, like when I remember when the Apple had this the white laptop came, and suddenly out of all the designs, suddenly that beautiful, simple, I don't know whether you remember that laptop, white laptop of Apple. And that was beautifully designed. It's slightly now, it's quite bit thick, but it was designed as a product, not only utility object, but a product, well designed product. And you don't know why you go and buy it, or you don't know why you're attracted to certain ad or certain packaging or certain logo, but there are few ingredients combined together at that moment, and which is become what you call, there is an equilibrium in the structure of that design, and when that is happens, the design is successful. And ordinary looking at that design, they don't need to know how you constructed, why it constructed, how its idea came about. They feel good and they get the message. And that's so important because technicality of all the things we learn as a designer finally had to end up in some kind of product which gives it a simple product and which gives happiness. And also at the same time, it gives you surprise. Do you like surprise? Now here, I mean, if you can raise hand, I can't see any audience here. So how do I see anyone reacting, or is there any way we can
So
interact with people?
there are 14 participants in this session.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
when the questions are thrown in, I can take it later towards the end of your session.
Okay.
So
Okay.
presently now there are
So
15 people, and
yeah.
they're able to hear you, sir. And
Yeah. Okay. Good.
yeah, the questions will happen towards the end of your presentation, sir.
Okay. So now I would like to show that the video which was prepared a long time back, about 5-6 years back, by one of the uh, major media in India, and they prepared that video on State Bank of India. I like to show you that before we get on with something. Okay, let me share the screen. Can you see the screen? Hello?
Not yet, sir.
I tried to share. Yeah, okay. Just to give me a second.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
How does one create a design for a brand that has a history of more than 200 years?
Can you see the video?
I can't see that, sir. So I think it's not visible to the other participants.
Let me see why I'm not. Okay. Okay, now.
Yeah, we can now.
Okay, so
Yeah.
let me go back to the video. It's a technology, it's amazing.
If you could just enlarge the screen.
India logo was designed for the basic simplicity. Is that okay? It was a keyhole.
Yes, sir.
Had a particular connotation in Indian psyche that it's the security.
That his creation has stood the test of time for SBI since 1971.
So simple that anyone can draw. In those days, they had something like 3,000 branches all over India, and which is a lot for that bank at that time. A lot of the bank branches were in villages.
Kamat took inspiration from the bank tokens that would be issued to waiting customers.
Near the counter. They had to push many tokens are filed on either. And that was the memory, and that was memory of the banking. And the color was again chosen a sky color, so they don't have to worry about coloring. They can look at the tell signboard painter, look at the sky, and that's a color.
So what about that internet theory floating around that SBI logo was inspired by Ahmedabad?
There's no way to go up. I know. And really went that side at all.
Kamat was born in Bombay. After finishing school, took a finance took a finance course at the prestigious Sir J.J. School of Art.
My elder brother was a commercial artist and used to draw lettering and he used to do for all so
there is some problem with the audio.
After one thing I think I was sitting at the table and just drawing. I said, this is the profession I want to do.
His career choice would soon lead him overseas and open up huge opportunities.
And those has done for all
Mr. Kamat sir, the audio is not clear.
into India.
Sir,
I was
the
there
audio is
for
not
short
clear at
time,
all.
2 years, as a professional. Audio is not clear. And
Yeah.
I worked on State Bank.
What you're speaking is very clear, sir, but somehow the audio is not clear.
There was no other people. I think I will leave the video at the moment. Just me.
The State Bank of India, up until then, was using
Now
a
it sounds fine, sir. Just now I heard it.
Is it okay? Its own significance. It's a strong, stable, and it grows. It's as if, I mean, I had no any negativity about it, but then
Not too clear, sir. Not too clear. So the audio, I think it goes into a loop and it goes very fast. So maybe you could share it like as a, like verbally with us. Could I have some comments from the participants if they are able to hear it? In the comment box, please, quick, a few people. Okay. Thank you, Shobhan. What about others? Okay, thank you, Sunish. Right, the audio has an issue. The video is fine, and I think in between it appeared as if the speed became like 1.5x or 2x.
Okay, so now shall we continue talking about it?
Yeah, I think it'll be better if we talk because I think the audio is not very clear.
Okay.
The video is clear. The audio
Okay.
is jari.
Wait, everyone knows about State Bank of India logo,
Yes, sir.
don't they? I think it's everywhere in India. And the time they asked us to design the logo, I was at NID, and they had the and my own brief to myself was, firstly, most of their branches, and as State Bank of India, we know, though it started in 1806, to State Bank of India in 1937, around that 35. And it was transferred to Reserve Bank of India in 2007. But logo was designed in 1970, 71. And my whole idea was it has to be extremely simple because it is going to be in nearly 3,000 branches in those days in India. And many of the branches were in rural India. In rural India, you don't have any sign writers. I mean, there are sign writers, but there is no something which you can send the film and enlarge it or do anything. So logo has to be simple. And keyhole was the right idea for the banking logo because every ordinary person in India had to go to the bank and use those tokens. And when you use something like that in your life, there is a and you go to the counter and you are given a token, and then your number is called to go. It wasn't. I don't remember what was it about. It's a queue or whatever it is, but token was given, and you go to the counter and give the token back, and he puts it on that stand. So that was the simplest idea. Any villagers, if we want to, in village setting, on the village wall or bank wall, if you want to draw a logo, all that you require is a nail and piece of string, and you can draw a circle. Drawing a circle in India is very easy. And then you join center point to outside, and that becomes your logo. Even if you don't do it correctly, people can understand that's the bank logo. And the color was chosen, instead of we have hundreds of PMS color, has got two. Nina, which colors are people are familiar with?
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Mr. Kamat. Your audio seems to be breaking in between. So either it's a network connection, or if you could just log in and quickly check in, log in back. It comes and then it breaks for a while, and then it is a bit broken.
Is it broken for?
Or you could just check your connection. I think that it's more of a connection issue, sir.
Okay, just give me a time. 1 second. One second. Is that okay now? Is that okay?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, it's better.
Okay, thanks so much. So have they missed in between, isn't it? So we were talking about State Bank of India and the simplicity of it. So logo, any design you do has to be simple, and it has to be immediately recognizable, and has to convey the essence of that company or idea immediately. As State Bank of India logo with the blue background, and if it's simple, it's going to last for a long time. And you can see that that logo has been there for nearly 50 years now. So it lasted quite a bit. So that's the one part of my design. But apart from logo and advertising and design, there are a lot of things, other things happening in the life which are more important for any designer, is to have ability to move into different disciplines and after did graphic design for about 15 years, I moved into textile with my partner, who is a fashion designer, and I designed nearly 300 hand block prints. Now that's another story, because as a designer, the reason I went into textile and my wife was a fashion designer, Australian, and we wanted to do work for craft people in India. And the basic idea working for craft people was to promote creative work for them. So even design ideology, or we worked with Gandhian principle in terms of hand spun, hand woven cotton, hand block printed, and hand stitched things. So basically, it was environmentally sound product about 40 years back, when people weren't even thinking of environment. So hand block printed, natural, printed on hand spun, hand woven cotton, which was even that time was very difficult to print. We had to get cloth, what you call, ironed out very. It's a long process to get hand blocks printed on khadi, because those days khadi printing, you would remember, it was quite coarse and you couldn't see, but we had to do the designs for Western market. So that's how we started in creating work for hand block printer, hand block carver. And so whenever we only produced 300 meters of cloth, and then we changed the design. Because we are designers, we can make another design so the work can go to the block printer. If you use the same block carver wouldn't get to work. So as a designer, our job was to create work for the craft people in India. And we ran that for nearly 30 years as a boutique. Started in India first, and then we moved to Australia. And so that's another part. And later on, as a designer, not only you work with design and some products, you can start working with social ecology. You belong to a community, and you're responsible in communicating certain views and certain ideas to community. You may remember at the time of Iraq War in 2001, Iraq was bombed out by American thing, and my wife and myself went for a peace march, and we found out that people walking on a peace march were angry, and we thought, you can't be angry while walking on a peace march. So we created a project called Good Wishes, because at that moment, a lot of Iraqi mothers and children were waiting to be bomb dropped on them, and they needed someone to send them support of good wishes. So we created a project in Melbourne with a brown roll of 2 meter by 100 meter in a city square. We got about 8,000 people's messages on that long 100-meter roll. And then we took digital part of that roll. We wanted to take it to Baghdad, but we couldn't do it. So we took it to UN and presented to General Assembly. So that's part of the designer's role, to come with the idea, execute it, and it didn't cost us a cent to create that project. Even trip to New York and to UN someone else paid for the trip. Then another thing happened recently. As recently we had bushfires, and this is very interesting example how designers can get in to elevate anxiety and problems of the society. In bushfires in Melbourne, nearly 200 houses got burned. No, 200 people got killed and 1,000 houses got burned. And the whole society felt the effect of that thing, and they wanted to do something. And that time we decided to have another letter of good wishes for people suffering in that bushfire. And one part of that project was take it to school children in Melbourne and allow them to write their messages of hope and goodwill to children whose schools and houses got burned about 100 kilometers away from Melbourne. So about 40 meters of children's drawing, 3 rolls. We took it later on after 2 months to that particular place called King's Lake and showed it to 3 children of that whose school was burned. And the children were so happy to receive messages and the drawing from the other children, more than many people send them money and things like that. So that was again a designer's project, which making something happen, creating good wishes, taking it to those children, and then we took the video of those children saying thank you to the children who wrote the message. So children learn that any adverse situation, how your thought energy works and how you can create right messages to other people of goodwill. Like every mother knows that when she sends their children to school, she packs sandwiches in a tiffin box. And that tiffin box, not only sandwiches, but it has got good wishes in it, packed in. So that's again a design idea implemented for social goodwill and getting people to engage in sharing good thoughts with other people. Thirdly, recently, you may remember in Christchurch in New Zealand, the 50 people were killed in a mosque by a gunman. Once a lone gunman came and killed 40 people, 50 people praying in a mosque. At that time, we decided to do the same thing. We created another letter of good wishes to take it to Christchurch from Melbourne, so that people know that people in Melbourne thinking of them. And Mayor of Christchurch was so pleased, and he really thanked from people of Melbourne that they created that sort of letter to, we send the condolences later to each other. And writing good wishes is also a nice way to communicate in the social situation. So designers can take different role at different time and do something which helps the community in general. So designer is not a narrow field. I think it's a really, really special area, and it gives people happiness from what you do. So keep that in mind, that importance of it's not just working on a white piece of paper or in the computer. It has much more larger role in the society as a designer. Is that make sense? And if you want to look at those 3 videos, you can go to goodwishes.org and you can look at about, and you can see how designers can expand his narrow field in social communication and benefit of the ordinary people. Any questions so far?
No, sir, I don't see any specific question at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you could continue with your presentation, and towards the end, we can ask 1 or 2 questions from you.
Yeah, because anything in between, anyone want to ask anything so that I can elaborate?
So if there is a question, I request the participants to keep, just write it down, and I can then in turn ask him.
Yeah.
So, sir, you can continue. If there's a question, I'll ask.
Okay. So, as a design area, when you are educated, when you are trained, you have you ever come across a term called golden mints? Has anyone told you about this particular sentence called golden mints? Golden mints is the proportion. Has anyone heard about it? Have you heard about it, Nina?
No, sir.
Yeah, golden means is the proportion. If that's the area, and that can be divided about here, right? So my 3 fingers, this one, and this one, and there is a proportion between these 3. Now, the same proportion can be repeated again, and that point is the perfect balance between these 2 areas. This point is the perfect balance, and that balance is always used in anything you design.
Sure. So we do have a question from the audience. If you would like to take it now. So this question is come from Himang Angle. He is an independent design educator, and he wants to know about your opinion on the role of emotion as an intangible factor in differentiating visual communication. The role of emotion as an intangible factor in differentiating visual communication. He's asking, is there a role does it exist? Does emotion play a role in differentiating visual as a tangible factor?
The emotions are part of life, aren't they?
Sure.
They're not separate. Everyone has got emotions. When you think, you feel. And when you feel, you put that feeling into action.
Sure.
Now, depends on what feeling it's. If you get angry feeling, you put it in angry action. And that becomes your memory. And from that memory, your next thought will come. But the basic idea of emotions are part of our life, but are we checking those emotions, where they're coming from and where they're going? You can tap into emotions, but inner emotion, what happened to State Bank, I was tapping into that emotional attachment to the round, whatever the thing was, token. Token was emotionally connected with everyone went to the bank. So I was connecting that emotional connection into my design. so that when you look at the design, they subconsciously, and a lot of the emotions are subconscious. And they are tangible in a way, you can see it, but how you use it in design, you can use it positive way or you can use it negative way. You can exploit with the designer and sell them a wrong design. You can compensate your design by emotionally promoting something.
And I would
But
like to add here that I think emotions are a tangible factor even in interpersonal interactions. Any kind of
Yeah.
human interaction, emotions do play a part. Even if it is not expressed very consciously, there is always an emotional connection which makes us like people and things. So a
Yeah.
good visual communicator is a person who can actually tap into that, emotional pool that people have and have that connection. So I guess it's
Mm.
we won't exist without emotions, what I feel.
Yeah. I think emotions, it's like if two people are talking to each other, unless if you're not aware of your own emotions related to that situation, uh, you would make a wrong decision, wrong action. But not only you have to look at your part of emotion, but also other person involved, where he is coming from and where his background of emotions are. If I'm not susceptible to that emotion, I will be crashing with him. If I'm ignoring his emotion, if he's sad, and if I'm trying to make him big, happy sort of thing, it's a bit like same as if you're hungry, if you're given a glass of water, or if you're thirsty and you are given a big plate of food. So understanding the background of people's emotions will be. I think that one thing designers intuitively comes with it. You choose the profession of designer has got that sensitivity attached to it. I don't know how it does. Is that satisfied answer or?
I think it's more than satisfying, sir. And your example was beautiful when you said that if a person is thirsty and we are offering food, then we are not actually quenching that person's basic need of
Yeah.
water. So a good designer will understand which kind of emotion would fulfill a particular need and how to tap
Yeah.
into it. So I think you've answered it beautifully.
Any other questions? Anything?
Can I request the participants to, we have about 10-12 minutes. I think that's enough time for us
Yeah.
to take one or two more questions. So
Yeah, as
kindly.
many questions you want to
Sure.
ask, you can.
And
I'll
sir,
try.
I do have a question because when we were having this little chat, I was, quite inspired by the, of course, your story is legendary. And when you said you wish you were born 30 years before, I also feel the same. And I just thought I'll ask you that do you think the field of design has changed because there is so much of technological advancement? Because when you were sharing your story of State Bank of India, everything had a physical connect. Things had to, the way you would conceive and design. However, now technology has kind of taken over a lot of things. So how is it that as the life of a designer has changed from your time to now?
I think our time, there was a time, the design group I worked in London called DRU, Design Research Unit, and it was the stalwart of design group at that time. It was, if the suits are made by you go to make fancy suits. The same thing, people used to come to our design group and give a job. and they won't ask how much it's going to be cost. And they won't ask when it's going to be finished. So once the job is finished, then it costs give job to them. And always given one design, though we used to make 3-4 designs, because we had architects, designers, interior, product designers working in under one thing. Every Friday, we used to have a meeting with each team. Designer would press a logo or something, and everyone will criticize or give their remark. Or interior designer or product designer would submit something every Friday. We had a half a day spent on discussing design. But there was a time to give the possible solution to that problem. Our logo that time design was British Rail logo. You probably remember that, zigzag. And
Right.
thing is that what we used to do, first ideas to draw many scribbles. We didn't have a computer at all. So just all drawing until you get idea correct. And if you can explain that idea on telephone to anyone, to your boss or anyone, this is I thought about it. And if you can explain it very clearly in one sentence or two sentences, that's a good idea. If you require a lot of time to scribble and talk about it, then it's not. It has to be simple and can be explained very quickly. So that's the difference. And now, if you're designing straight on the computer, what's happening is that you're not using your thinking part, because you're connected to whatever constraint of different software. So software are there, or we used to call it, as a designer, you have a grid, square, but you should be able to jump out of the grid and think completely openly, but you know that you have a discipline of design and come up with idea and then come back and you can apply the grid later on. But first, idea has to be free. So that's a difference. But plus point of software today, you can do minute thing. We used to have in between type, we used to put a tracing paper for spacing. How difficult it was. And now you can just change it, minute spacing different, 1 to 100. You can move the letter quickly. So that's the difference, an amazing possibility. So both sides are equal. You should be able to manage to quietly think about it on the piece of paper and then use the software as best you can, because software can give you many possibilities, but don't get locked into the software.
Sure.
Right.
So we have about 10 minutes left. If there is any other question, then you can ask. Otherwise, I would like to thank Mr. Kamat. And
anyone wants to ask any questions on their day-to-day design or?
So I guess, sir, the video that you were sharing, if you can share the link with we'll access that thing. We'll take the link and we'll share it with the participants. And personally, what I liked, because I, as I said in the beginning, that I'm not a designer. I've come from the other side, and I really liked your philosophy is that the design is a social construct. And I think that's my big takeaway, that if designers can actually keep this in mind, that not only is this a social construct, but nature itself is the biggest designer of all. And the design balance and symmetry that you were talking about, and I was thinking of, because I happened to see this little video on how nature designs everything so perfectly, and when perfection means a lot of symmetry. So I guess if we can keep that the concept of balance and symmetry in mind, and the fact that you are doing you this big connection that you can do to people, I guess that the balance of being a designer who is aesthetically beautiful and is thinking of utilitarian concepts along with, would go a long way in adding to the human growth story. um, Whichever century that we belong to, I guess design plays a big part. So I would like to thank you, Mr. Kamath, for your valuable insights that you brought in and the time that you've spent for us. Thank
Last thing, I would like to say that every day I go for a walk. I'm now, 78, a walk for exercise, but I take every day about 10 pictures of anything, nature or outside. Select 3 of them or 4. I put it on Instagram or Facebook, and there are a whole lot of people, friends and family, get joy out of it.
Right, right,
So
absolutely.
that's the main important other thing, is to give happiness to other people from what talent you have.
Sure.
Not working, and retired now, so enjoyment still there, surprise still there, and creativity still there. So
Absolutely.
you have to use all those things in the life.
Absolutely. The
I think
curiosity part is very
Paresh
important.
must be seeing some of the
Yeah,
photographs.
yeah, yeah. So that's why actually I would request if you can share some of them. It is very unique actually. It's not a normal
You want
photographs,
to see some
photography.
of the photographs now?
Yeah, yeah. Can you share some of them? It will be really great. Recent
Okay, I'll
ones.
just see now, and you can share. I have to share the screen and
Quickly. Yeah.
share.
Because you have only 2 minutes, 6 minutes we have. No problem.
Okay, I'll share some photographs.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Can you see that?
You have to share the screen. The button is there right below, arrow at
Yeah.
the in the footers. Yeah. So yes.
Is it sharing now?
Just bring that. Yeah, yeah. So
Okay.
yes, yes. See. So this is the recent one. I've seen this in Facebook, I guess. Yeah, recently.
I'll just see whether.
Yes. So every day, sir actually, I think, does morning walk on the beach. Is very nearer to beach is nearer to his house. Every day he posts 5, 6 in the morning. At the moment we get up and we see this beautiful views, scenic views. So obviously, I love. Everybody can love it. Yeah,
Can you
wonderful.
see them?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
And it's the same beach.
So how do you find Australia? How do you find Australia nowadays? Like you don't want to come back to India?
Uh, I got. I enjoy wherever. I enjoy India also when I come. I love India, and
Where do stay? Where is your house in India at present?
I'm from Mumbai, Bombay,
Okay, okay,
and Bombay is it's quite interesting place.
okay, sir. When you finish your talks today, I would request if you can be there in audience for some time. Some of our students or some young designers or senior designers I can see. So if they want to
What
interact with you, talk to you in personal level, they can do.
can bring to share whatever I have, whatever experience. And our days, I haven't shared that. When I was young in Bombay, uh, it was so difficult in terms of uh, going to study. I saved nearly 1,000 rupees before I was 18 in those days, working part time. But government won't give me a visa to go outside or for an exchange in 65, 64. So it was, and now anyone can save some money, and but that time you had to work two jobs. Yeah. Anyway, so that's one got ability or idea that to that he has to other people, then he has to help other people, then everything is possible. Like you help the people, everything is possible. Like you're doing what you're doing, you're it's possible. You're doing what you're doing, this the development which is week, Odisha Design Week. It's great awareness in the society.
So, Kamat sir, there is
Okay.
some audio error that has come in again, but we would like to close it now because in 1 minute a new session will begin. So, I thank you once again for your inspiring session. Thank you so much, and I think some students would probably participants would like to connect with you one on one.
Yeah,
So
okay.
be available for that, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you. See you again.
See you.
Bye bye. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Bye bye.